This guy started his $8.5 million landscaping company when he was 18.
My mom drove me all over the place to go get my business license.
In this video, he'll break down how anybody can start $1 million business.
I think one of the keys to scaling that worked for me and works for anyone today.
Secrets from the same sales manual responsible for closing 1 out of 5 leads.
You want to know all the nitty-gritty secrets?
Anything you can give us, the gold nuggets. And at last, the mindset costing you and I 6 to 7 figures in lost revenue.
I think that's the #1 thing to being able to be successful.
And the crazy part is he gets paid without having him or his employees doing any of the landscaping. That's crazy, because so that basically means anybody that works for your company doesn't actually lay bricks.
Right.
All right, Peter, it is not every day that we come across somebody with your level of success at your age, so give our audience an idea on what you do and how you got into this industry.
Yeah, so I do outdoor living spaces, and that basically means we do 3 things. We do paver patios, paver driveways, and so we work with pavers, and we also do retaining walls and synthetic turf. So those are the 3 things we do.
How did you get into it?
Well, I was actually working as a summer job when I was 16 and 17 for one of my friends. And I really fell in love with this job. And he kind of decided he wanted to move out of this business. From there, it kind of gave me an opportunity to decide, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to get another job, or I'm going to keep on pursuing this?
Wow, so you've been in it for 10 years now.
Almost, yeah.
Is this like putting a puzzle piece together? Like what attracted you to it? I'm just curious, as a 16-year-old.
It's really, really hard work. And you take an old backyard that's, you know, maybe it's mud or it's a bunch of weeds or overgrown bushes that somebody doesn't like.
Yeah.
And you take it and you paint a picture for them of what it could look like, and you rip all that stuff out and you lay pavers down, or you lay a wall to level out an area, or put a green artificial grass in there. And that's what's rewarding, is the before and after. Yeah,
that's
I love
awesome.
that.
All right, so the owner actually came out and told me about this job that you did. I want to ask you a little bit about it, but she was saying how all the neighbors and everybody in this neighborhood stops by and takes a picture of the driveway. I could see why, you guys, because what they did here is absolutely gorgeous. Tell us a little bit about the job. How did you get the customer? What did it cost, the process about going in?
Yeah, she reached out to us online, filled out an online form, and we had one of our designers come out. And this is actually a 2-phase project. We were here earlier and did the piece that we're kind of walking up to first. She wanted to have a space to entertain, and her yard was kind of growing into her pathways. And so our designer came out here and kind of helped her, with her help, design this space. And she has a gorgeous, gorgeous backyard.
She invested quite a bit, too.
She did. Yeah, I think close to $70,000 for the pathways and for the driveway space. They don't want just sterile concrete in their backyard.
Right.
They want something that's going to be aesthetically pleasing.
This is kind of the art side of real estate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So what made you want to start your own business? Because looking back, when I was 16, most of us, you know, we think, oh, let's just get a job, 9 to 5, make a buck here and there. You looked at it a little differently. You started your own. So who influenced you? What advice were you given by dad, mom, whoever? Give us a little bit of backstory.
Yeah, well, I was working for my friend that was doing this, but when he decided he wasn't going to be doing this anymore, it kind of made me I wanted to keep doing this. And so that's what really kind of led me to, hey, let's make this happen. I can do this. So this was kind of like a proving thing. I wanted to show that I could do this. I can make this happen. That's kind of what got me started.
Where was mom, dad at that point? And have they influenced you either not to get in or to get in? Anything there you want to highlight?
My parents, they encouraged me to yeah, go ahead, get it started. So I remember one time my dad driving me all the way down to Oregon to his broker to help me get insurance. My mom drove me all over the place with me to go get my business license, all the different departments, L&I.
Cool.
So
that's cool when parents kind of push you and encourage you.
Yeah, I didn't have hardly any money, right? And so my very, very first job, I didn't have enough money even to float all the materials. So my mom, she let me use her credit card, buy the materials. I had to pay her back like right then and there, but
to follow up on that, because you kind of jumped the gun, and that is, for people who want to get into this industry, don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Besides the parents' credit cards, what can it cost me to get into this industry? Don't include the car, right? Because I think that could be a big purchase. But what do you think?
Yeah, so I think this type of work is maybe some of the best type of works to be getting into, because of the cost to get in is so low. If you really want to, you can just do way smaller jobs and do just a small backyard patio, small walkway, and that work can all be done with a shovel, a pick, a wheelbarrow, And if you need to rent a truck, go rent a pickup.
Right.
It's all possible. And then, you know, if you're working with a trust with a customer, get them to pay half the money up front, and that can help you float the materials. So it's not like something where you need to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to grow the business, absolutely. But that's kind of how we did grow the business. It was a slow with cash.
You got to learn what you're doing though. So what would be the way about that? You know, probably go work for a company that does that first?
Yeah, you could start working for another company. That helped me out, right? Taught me some of the basics. We got YouTube. I mean, come on. What other better spot? There's free knowledge online. Now, not everyone you want to listen to.
University, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Then, of course, there's courses like ICPI is a standard for pavers, and they have courses you can take.
Yeah, at which point did you stop doing the physical work and started working on the business, in the business?
I love the sales side of the business. I love working with people, and I love numbers. And so as soon as I was able to not have to do the physical work, that was like a little over a year. And that's when the business, when we went from 100 grand to 300, that was because I was moving myself out of the actual physical work and into trying to do the sales and operation piece of it.
See, that's a big deal, right? People wonder, how do I get past 100?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you need to step out of that business, hire people to replace you so you can focus on sales, so you can focus on marketing and so on. Very cool. All right, well, there's more to see about this project. Let's go to the back of the house, because you guys actually did the project and it loops around, right? I want to see it.
That's right, yeah.
Let's go check it out.
All right.
Take us through the first year of running the business. How much did you make? How did you decide as a newbie on pricing, estimating, things like that?
Yeah, so my very first year in business, we grossed $97,000. Out of that, we probably netted about $10,000. So it wasn't extremely high net.
Not too exciting.
Yeah, not too exciting, but I guess that's the beginning of, like, you know, starting your own business. You're putting a lot of money back into the business and you're trying to figure it out. Maybe one of the reasons why we didn't net as much as we should have, right, is a lot of times you think you have to be the cheapest person. And so knowing your worth, like you can charge for what the project is worth, as long as you can deliver on that, right? And so we could have charged more money than we should have. And so there's some of those mistakes that I definitely made.
Like you can start off by charging what it's worth.
Yeah.
Why don't people do that more often? Is it because they're lacking confidence? Maybe they're not trained enough? What is it?
I think it is kind of combination of lack of confidence, and people don't have a track record. But I think where it really comes back to is the trust. And so I think right when you're starting out, you're gonna have to really work hard to build trust with the homeowners and just be open and honest. Look, I'm new. I'm excited about starting my business, and I would need someone to give me a chance and to give me a shot.
Well, let's go check out, because you use what, a number of suppliers here locally?
Yeah,
Can we go check out one of them?
Yeah, we'll go check out Western Interlock.
Western Interlock, okay.
Sounds
follow
good.
You. All right, so tell us where we are, the relationship that you've established with the supplier, anything you want to touch on as well.
Yep, so we're here at Western Interlock. They're our supplier that we get almost a high percentage of our materials.
What's important about building these relationships with suppliers? Because there's a ton of other options for you, right?
Yeah.
How did you end up with them? What do you look for? What kind of traits? What do you want to share with us as far as insight?
I think manufacturing probably is a kind of competitive market. And so like you said, there's a lot of different options. A lot of people tend to approach you and want to get your business, especially as you grow. But what's been important for me is building relationships with people that have some of the same values. I'm a Christian, and the owner of this business is a Christian as well. And it's not like I won't do business with anybody else, but I do like to align my values. The other thing that has been really good is whenever a problem does come up, I can talk to them and they'll help me work through it.
That's awesome. What was your day like in the early days of the business?
Well, if we start back to when I started the business, I would start early in the morning by close to 4:30, and I'd go, my office was down in, I lived at home, so my office was down in the basement. So I'd go down the basement and I would be writing up estimates, getting ready work orders for the day, put in material orders, emailing it off. And so I started my days out usually that way, then I'd go out, load the truck, and off to work. So I was building the material or putting the product in the ground, but I was also trying to sell my work. So I'd go get my, they'd be my two friends, outlined on the job, and then I'd go run, quickly change my shirt, rip it off, and put a fresh shirt on, and go run a sales call, and then come back and try to bring any materials I needed until I got to the end of the day. We got home usually pretty late. It was some pretty long hours first couple years for sure.
Let's go check out the yard, man. So this is the one shop, but I see they've got a lot of more buildings out there that I want to go check out and see what's going on. What kind of profit margins are in this industry, Peter?
Yeah, I think kind of on a standard, we look and shoot for about a 50% gross profit.
50 is attainable here?
50% gross, not net.
Not net, okay.
So we're talking the cost of goods.
So it's a $100,000 project.
Yeah, 50,000 of that's going to go to like materials, the labor for the crew, just whatever it takes to actually get in the ground. And then all our company overhead and everything is below that.
What's the net then? Curious. What's it?
Obviously varies probably from company to company, but we've ranged anywhere from 5 to 15% in net.
5 to 15? Yeah. So you got to get up to like 10, 15 mil for you as an owner to see a net profit of at least $1 million.
Right. Yep.
Until then, you're not a millionaire.
That's not a millionaire till then.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go check out your office?
Let's do it.
Is it a big place that we're all excited to see, or?
No, it's a pretty small place. 900 square foot building, 30 by 30.
Okay.
And we're all open floor space.
Let's go check it out.
All right, sounds good.
Whether you're crafting stunning outdoor spaces like Peter or building a business empire from the ground up, you already know that it's critical to keep a pulse on your industry for structural shift so you can continue growing. That's why today's episode is brought to you by HubSpot and their must-have resource for any savvy entrepreneur, the 2024 Consumer Trends Report. This is the report to understand how people are purchasing product and services, as well as how social media and mobile shopping is shaping shopping behaviors. It also talks about the role influencers play when it comes to how people find new products and services. Personally, my favorite section dives into the impact that AI is having on consumer behavior. Learning more about the major investments that Google is putting into the AI-assisted shopping definitely opened up my eyes to this trend that it's likely to pick up a lot more steam and how to take advantage of it. I highly recommend you download the 2024 Consumer Trends Report from the link below. It's free. It's packed with insights that can help you build a business that stands out and succeeds. This report was made by HubSpot. Thanks to HubSpot for sponsoring today's video. All right, blitz time. Peter, these are some questions by our fans. Some are not. You got like 10 seconds max to answer them. If you could solve any problem in your business with a click, what would it be and why?
Marketing. Marketing is one of the toughest things in my business, and paying like the lead stuff is changing all the time. If I could click one thing, it'd be marketing.
What motivates you to wake up at 4:30 every day and get to work?
Dude, I'm so excited. I love my business. I love the people in our business. I love every single sale that comes to the door. I love it. It just gets me fired up and energized.
Dan, even today you're waking up at 4:30?
Yep, 100%.
Wow.
Actually, I was at 4, but.
Wow, what time do you go to sleep?
About 8:30.
If you could choose anyone, dead or alive, to be your business consultant, who would it be and why?
Actually, I'd probably grab Elon Musk. He's a crazy thinker, and I admire all his creative thinking.
Okay. If you weren't in the landscaping business, what would you be doing?
I'd be working in the tunneling business. That's what my dad does.
How much was the most expensive job you've ever done for a client?
The most expensive job that we've done is one that we just recently did, is up in Blaine, Washington, right by the border. Job was about $270,000.
What?
That was a driveway.
I gotta go check that out.
Yeah.
One driveway,
One driveway.
$275,000?
Yeah. It didn't have anything else but a driveway.
What's the weirdest customer request or feedback you've ever received?
With our product, people have asked us to wrap a car, artificial turf. And so a guy came in the office and he wanted to wrap his car in artificial turf for a show. So we sold him the turf and he sent me a picture. Kind of weird, but.
That is weird. What's the ratio between commercial and residential accounts?
0. We only do residential.
Gotcha. Is there a project you always dreamt of starting but never got the chance to?
I guess we only do residential work, and so that's something.
That's out.
You know, if I could get into, we got a lot of pretty amazing people up right around Lake Washington, right? It'd be pretty cool to do some jobs around there.
Okay.
With Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk.
Okay.
Or not Elon Musk, just skip this question out of the video.
That's okay, that's a wrap. That was good. Good. Tell us the journey from 100,000 to 1 million. What had to happen for you to get to that number specifically?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that had happened. One of the things that obviously it was me and a couple of our friends to actually expand and grow wasn't just depending on us to grow the business. So we had to bring other people onto the team, and obviously that finding roles, putting new positions in, like having a foreman to run a job so we could run more than one job at one time.
By 100, how many people did you have, including
100,000?
yourself? Yeah.
There was 3 of us.
Just 3 of you guys,
Yeah.
okay.
And so that was pretty easy to crank out that amount of work with 100,000.
So hired more people to get to 1 million. What
Yeah.
about any other systems, processes, things that our viewers can replicate today to get through their ceiling?
Yeah, I think one of the keys to scaling that worked for me and works for anyone today is get a CRM. And it doesn't have to be a real complex CRM. Get a basic CRM to put all your leads and all your jobs all your invoicing, everything in one spot. And that will help you scale beyond almost any other thing you could do.
So what sets apart Sta-Built from other competitors?
I'd say there's three competitive advantages. One of them is our workmanship warranty, which says what we build and what we do, we stand behind it. So we have a 15-year workmanship warranty.
Oh, wow. Pretty solid.
Yeah, and then all the materials that we use have lifetime guarantee from our manufacturers. And so we're basically saying we got a double back warranty. The other thing is we are always evolving as far as a company. A lot of landscapers, that's what we bid mostly against. They're out there, they roll to the job site with just a truck, no logos, you know, they got dirty shirts on because, you know, that's just what landscapers do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Our guys show up, they got a nice briefcase or a pack, they got their samples inside, they got an iPad where we're drawing out on CAD, where a lot of guys are using graph paper and they're counting the squares. I believe what we are selling is an experience and then a service with that experience. We're selling a warranty with that.
Gotcha.
On our website, it says, hardscaping you'll love, installed by people who care. And so we're not just here chasing the dollar, we're chasing the experience.
Awesome. Well said. You've talked about the importance of mindset in this business, you know, going through the highs and lows. What sets you apart as far as your mindset, you think?
A can-do attitude. I think that's the number one thing to being able to be successful is I can do this. I actually only went to 10th grade, so I'm a dropout, right?
Didn't graduate high school?
No. And so you would not think a person like me would be running a business like this. But I think it's persistence and thinking I can do this and leveling up. So I listen to Audible books on a weekly basis. And so the attitude of I'm gonna learn from people that are smarter than me, and I'm gonna get advice from people. I'm gonna be humble about it. And just using that mindset that I can do this.
Man, you said persistence and you lit up, literally, like with the sunshine
I love it.
Beaming on you.
Yeah, it's like it made the clouds part.
The gods have spoken. Share with us one biggest mistake you've made as an entrepreneur, and then what's your thought on other mistakes that entrepreneurs make as well when starting out?
Yeah, I remember my very first job opportunity we had to get a job from, we never crossed the six-figure line, so $100,000, and we had this
for one job.
Oh wow,
that's a big deal.
And so that was a big deal to me. And I, you know, when you look at $100,000, you think that's a lot of money, and it is. But it depends what's all included with that $100,000. And that job specifically, it was like 130 was a total sale price, and the customer would be like, hey, what about if we put this in there? Could you just throw that in there? And we started throwing this in there, and we threw that in there, and then this, and this, and this, and this. And before we knew it, this job should have been, after we got it all done, it should have been close to 200 grand. And we did it for 130. And
you were under that one, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was not a fun experience, but it taught me a good lesson, right? That it might sound like a lot of money, but really there's a lot of costs that go into that, and make sure you have those costs figured out. Be very specific. You're gonna give something away for free. If you're gonna give it, if you're gonna do that, write it up as a change order, as a no dollar change order, so you're tracking it the whole way through the job.
You know what your profits are too, because you think you're making money, but you're actually zero.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The other thing that I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's easy to do, is when they start a business, they expect to be making a lot of money right away. And when I started my business, for the first 3 years, there wasn't really anything for me to pull out. I kept on reinvesting it back into the business, buying another piece of equipment, putting it back into marketing, trying to hire another employee. And that's, there's a sacrifice that comes with this investment, because that's what your business is. It's an investment.
Dodge costly mistakes like Peter's with the UpFlip Academy that we're launching April 29th, 2024. You and a select few founding members can gain access to more than 15 courses taught by world-class entrepreneurs. Act fast, click the link to secure your spot. Take us through your revenue year over year. Start with the beginning and then mention some of the highlights and what you learned through that process.
Yeah, well, my very first year I started out, I made $97,000 in total sales.
Sounds like a lot.
It was a lot for me. At 18 years old, that was the most money I ever seen. But I wasn't satisfied at 97. I wanted to see where I could take this. And my next milestone was the next year. We hit 300 grand. The next year.
Triple.
And that was a lot of work, a lot of effort to go from 97 to 300. And from there, the next milestone was $1 million. And we crossed $1 million in 2016. And so
how many years into it then?
That had been about 3 years into that.
Wow,
so,
dude, that's awesome.
$1 million. After that, the next big milestone we hit was $3 million. And then I'll just kind of fast forward. Last year, we did $8.5 million in revenue.
Good for you, Peter. Any bottlenecks between that journey of 8 to 8.5 million last year?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest problems that I had to overcome was you're just bringing in so many more jobs, and it's not like these jobs were growing in size. We were doing about the same average job size, and so it's how do we handle and manage way more, 3, 10 times X amount of jobs we were handling before.
So when you started having that good problem, we call it, right?
Yeah.
What was your pivot? What did you do to try to scale it and manage that level of business?
We were handling all these jobs in paper folders. So we'd have the invoices, the estimates, the signed contracts in paper folders. And we had this rack on a table, and it'd be, jobs that we're quoting, jobs that have contracted, jobs we're working on, jobs that we owe money on. From there, we went to just running everything inside of a Google Drive, kind of one centralized spot, and we'd create a folder inside the drive for, customer's name. And so that no matter where we could access it. The biggest step we made, and that was able to help us scale to where we are today, is moving to a CRM. And when we moved to a CRM, that really was able to really centralize things, and that's what really helped us take the big step.
You put a big emphasis on systems and processes and implementing the CRM and how that was a big game changer for your business, right? What's your advice to other business owners when it comes to systematizing and creating processes? It's
my job to simplify everything we have, try to make it as simple as possible so that any new person coming in, they can grab it, understand it, and run with it as fast as possible. And that's why we have simplified our business model to sales, operations, and the things we offer. We don't offer decks, we don't offer gazebos.
Right.
We offer pavers, turf, and walls. And that makes it so we're repeating the same stuff over and over and over again. And while it's custom in the fact that every project is different, the same process goes for that.
So it's safe to say, just before you continue on, that if you offer too many services, that systematization and creating processes could be more challenging?
I would say
because you're just kind of the jack of all trades. Yes. I do everything.
Yeah, and then I, or whoever the owner is, they become that center person that everybody has to go to. And I believe firmly that I want to work myself out of having to be the person that is needed every single day. And I want to be thinking bigger, visionary, where are we going with this business? How can we grow, and how can we make other people grow? And so if you have to be there every single day to keep the business alive, I'm probably not doing my job.
Let's dive into the marketing for the company. Your budget is over $700,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right?
It's $700,000, yeah.
What has been the best ROI, and how are you allocating that money? Give us an understanding of how that money is spent.
There's a lot of different avenues you can spend your marketing dollars on. And we have a budget, and the budget is based off of quarter, and it's broken down by the month, and then it's broken down by categories. And we track very, very closely every single marketing dollar, where it goes, what's the return on that dollar, and what are the best returns per season. Like different seasons, different marketing channels work better. But starting out, what really helped me get this business rolling is I just simply went and paid for HomeAdvisor leads. A lot of people have kind of a negative connotation to HomeAdvisor leads. It's not that bad as long as you're willing to kind of look at the long haul. There's gonna be garbage leads, but you've got to be fast, answer those calls within 1 minute. As soon as that lead comes in, you're calling them right away. And that's number one. And then you're gonna have like 3 or 4 other contractors on those leads, and you gotta be willing to show your value. You can't just give them a bid, accept them to understand your value. You gotta present your value. And then kind of breaking it down, like for us, our average ticket size is around $20,000. And that fluctuates a little bit by the seasons, but if just across the board, we're about a $20,000 average ticket size.
In ad spend though, how much is that per the $20,000 job?
We spend $1,000 to get $20,000.
About 11, okay, $1,000 per 20. That's not bad. And how's the 700 allocated across Facebook, PPC on Google, everything, every other platform?
Yeah, Google and HomeAdvisor are our 2 biggest ad spends.
Gotcha.
After that, we got Facebook, and a lot of Facebook we use for follow-up ads, so people that have been on our website. We have print ad, and then
how much are you spending on print?
20 grand for one of the prints. It's a magazine. We're contracted for a year.
Gotcha.
And there's another one's about 10. So our print is it's pretty small compared to the digital. Most people are online, but it makes it very good for targeted marketers.
Imagine a weekly dose of inside knowledge from entrepreneurs like Peter. Now make it real. Subscribe. And I promise that from now on, the guests will get better and better. What do you think? You place a strong emphasis on customer satisfaction, and we can clearly see that by the many, many 5-star reviews that you have. So what's the secret to delivering that experience? And talk about the flip side of it, right? Maybe a project that didn't go as planned, you had to go fix it. Maybe it resulted in a 3-star instead of a 5.
Yeah.
What can you share with us?
Yeah. Well, I think obviously everybody knows putting the customer first is how you get those reviews. So it's easier said than done. And so ultimately what you back up, what you say is what's going to get you those reviews. Now, everybody wants to have a 5.0 rating, right?
Yes,
and
please.
it's as you get more and more jobs in the ground, you're going to get people that didn't have a good experience. How do we deal with those situations? There was one just recently where it did not go so well. We had kind of a transition of a couple different project managers, and so it was on us. And I talked to the office and we ordered a big old charcuterie board after the job was done. After they were happy with the actual workmanship, it was the experience that wasn't so well, right? And I drove up there, it was a 2-hour drive. I knocked on their door and I said, hey, I'm Peter, I'm the owner of the company.
Oh, wow.
Just want to let you know, I'm sorry that your job didn't go so well, but I'm here to make it right.
Yeah.
And you know what, they're doing a second phase with us. And so I think just, me taking ownership of where we've dropped the ball and showing that I'm willing to step it up goes a long ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple thing to do, but I thought a lot of people just won't do that. You know, like admit that, hey, we've messed up a little bit, but I'm here at your doorstep.
As the owner, you got to take ownership of those bad experiences.
Anything specific as far as asking for reviews, systems, processes, probably through a CRM, get some a text or an email, but other than maybe things we haven't heard before?
Yeah, we ask for feedback on every single customer. So we have a form that goes out to every single customer, and it just asks them, how was your experience, good or bad? And if they had not had the best experience, it's going to send us the feedback of why their experience wasn't so bad. That way we can go make it right. And that's how I was teed up to know that this customer didn't have a good experience.
I see.
And I was able to go out there and talk to them and understand. And then we can take that information and learn. And then if they had a good experience, then it asks them to leave us a 5-star review.
Let's talk about the fact that you went from doing all the work in-house to now building a network of what, 50 plus subcontractors?
Yeah, around 50 subs, yeah.
That's crazy, because so that basically means anybody that works for your company doesn't actually lay bricks.
Right.
Those are all subs in that incredible network that you build.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that, because what prompted you to do that shift, and how do you control, or how's quality control?
Yeah, kind of how this whole transition came about is we had in-house crews. That's how we started. Well, I started laying bricks myself. And so that's where we started from the ground up that way. And ultimately we brought on people to build teams and build crews to do the installs. And those people, I guess, looked and seen, well, if Peter can be successful doing this, why can't I be successful doing this? Why can't I run my own business? And so I remember very specifically the very first time this happened is I had a foreman, and he came to me, he's like, hey, Peter, I want to talk to you. I want to run my own business, but I'd like to still work for you. And that conversation, I was thinking, man, this is terrible. Like, I don't want you leaving me and starting your own business. Now you're a competitor. Well, I went home and I started thinking about this. I'm like, well, why can't it win for him and win for me at the same time? He wants me to basically sell jobs and give them to him. Why can't we make this a win for both of us? And so that's kind of how we actually started, is we would sell the job, we would buy the materials, we would work with the customer, secure financing, whatever that was with the customer side, and then he provided the actual installation, the labor part of that. And that worked very well. And pretty soon I had another team guy. It kind of, it worked out for Jose, why can't it work out for me? And so it started that process of crews would come in, they would work for us for a year or 6 months sometimes, and they would start their own business and they'd come work for us as a sub. Pretty soon other companies heard about that and they were calling us and like, hey, we want to come work for you as a subcontractor. And that's how we just kind of been able to network and add on to our teams that way.
If you guys have any questions, if you find yourself in the same dilemma, I'm sure Peter would love to hear from you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To collab and help. So reach out via comments, reach out via Google, call him and ask for advice. What kind of knowledge do you think you have now as you get close to 10 million a year business as opposed to when you were $1 million? Just the evolution of Peter growing up as an entrepreneur. What can you share with us?
Yeah, I think one of my tendencies is I'm more sales orientated. And so I tend to think more of, let's just go get more. Let's just push for more, get more sales, and we'll use the more to increase revenue, to take care of all the other problems we have going on. And so my focus with the business, while sales is obviously what starts us. One thing we've noticed is we can focus on actually the bottom line, focus on cutting costs, figuring out where to make the operations more streamlined, give that more focus as a business. The other thing that I think for me personally, that it's something I'm learning and having to continue to learn, is I'm in a place of leadership and I'm very young. And I think when you're given a position, you tend to think that now it's all going to work out because I'm the leader. People look to me for the answers. And I don't believe leadership is
position.
Is a position. I think leadership is just permission to play, and you earn that spot. Like someone told me that success is rented. You owe the rent of that success every single day.
Let's dive into your hiring process. So up to date, you have what, 30 plus employees?
We're right around 30 employees right now.
Pretty good team. Talk to us about your hiring process, because you have multiple interviews, certain traits that you look for. What have you learned? What can we learn from you so we can implement that in our business as well?
I would say a couple years ago, I did every single interview, and I'd meet with them and get kind of just a good feel. Is this a good person? Do they fit kind of the role? And I'd be working one-on-one with them. But today, how we work now is we have one person that handles the logistics of the interviews. Then which department is it going to? Is it going to sales? Is it going to operation? Is it going to finance? And from there, then that person takes that interview. And they make sure they qualify for the skills. And we kind of use a trade that we picked off of somebody else, but are they humble? Are they the type of person that's willing to learn and take corrective criticism? Are they hungry? So they want this job? Are they really excited about this job? So that's kind of one of the traits that we use. And then from there, we want to make sure they fit into a culture. And so right now, I still do every last interview. I make sure they fit a part of our culture. And we have a set of core values that we want people to live by. And so we walk them through and make sure they're going to be part of those core values. We also do the DISC assessment to make sure they have some of the quality traits that they're saying they do have.
Okay. What about subs? Is that any different for the subs that you work with?
Subs is a lot different process for us. A lot of the subs initially we created, it was in-house employees, and so those we weren't really interviewing. We were helping them start their own business.
That's cool.
And they were working for us that way. Now subs come to us wanting work because they've heard about us. That process is more we check with our suppliers. Usually our suppliers have heard about these people. We get kind of a background check of what people think about them. We ask them for references, and so we would go out and check and see what type of work they have and make sure all their ducks in a row legally.
Makes sense. Okay. This sales manual that you wrote seems like a tedious task, to be honest. Like if I'm not into writing, if I'm not into typing, man, 100 pages? Like, no way, Jose, I'm going to work on that.
That's right.
So as a business owner listening to us right now, who's just not into that kind of thing, but knows the importance of having one, how would you go about it today?
I think the easiest thing is always to say, hey, we're going to hire someone to do this.
That's
but
the temptation.
if you really don't want something that's stereotyped and templated, I think you're just going to have to buckle down and go ahead and just do it yourself. That's what I did.
A page a week, a day, or something?
It took me a year and a half. So I've been working a long time, and you're going to have to buckle down and just make it happen. You know, like I said, the business is an investment, you know, and so as much as you put into it is about as much as you can expect to get out.
Tell us why you're against refunds, and clarify that it's not really refunds we're talking about. I'm trying to think of a better term, but I'll let you run with it.
Yeah, well, like sometimes people will be doing a job and maybe something's not turning out the way they want. Maybe it's a radius around a flower bed, the way it was cut isn't exactly the way they wanted it, right? And so
now I'm unhappy.
You're unhappy. Hey, that doesn't look as good as I want it to be. It's not what I visualized. If you're unhappy with the way that product looks, I'm going to make that right for you. Because over time, you're going to keep on looking at the way that looks, and that's going to frustrate you. And so I'm never
going to look at it and say, oh, I got $1,000.
Yeah,
I'm fine. No, you're going to be like, that irritates me, even though I got a grand back.
Yeah, and so that experience is going to weigh in the way when your friends come over and they're sitting on the patio, you're going to be reflecting on that, and you're going to tell every single person about that.
So you never did that? Like from get-go, you were like, hey, I'll rather fix it than compensate you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to approach business. What do you guys think? Comment below. Love to hear your comments. But it's like two options. I could either fix it, or I can give you money back and be like, yo, can we just chill, accept it the way it is? But long term, that actually does you damage.
And a lot of times, that refund would be cheaper for us as a business.
Right.
It costs us more money to send a team back out there and to pull that back up and relay it the way they had kind of envisioned, or the way we know we want it to be.
So over the last 10 plus years, how has your leadership style grown? I mean, going from no team members to 30 people takes quite a bit of just business management skills, right? To find the right talent, build the right rapport. What have you learned over the last 10 years?
I'm still learning. I feel like
never stop.
That's right. Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of the attitude I've taken all along, is that people are way smarter than I am. They have things figured out that I don't, and then it's about asking questions, asked to understand and asked to try to learn for myself a lot of my employees are way older than I am. And so it's working with people that are older than you that have more experience than you and asking them their perspective. And it might not be you have to go with that decision, but getting other people's perspective and putting them together is what makes a solid business decision. And as far as how we work currently today as a leadership team, there's 4 of us on our leadership team. And it's basically sales, which I represent the sales of the business, the operation piece of the business, and my brother represents that. We have a finance piece and then our marketing piece. And we get together on a weekly basis on Mondays. It starts the same time and it ends the same time. Earlier on, we'd get together around a round table and we'd go down all these bunny trails. We have this problem, we have that problem, and you waste a whole morning talking about things and you never get to the things that are really important. And so what we've switched to is a very structured, formatted meeting, and we start with positivity. And we start by giving a personal best and a business best. And after that, we lead into business news. And then we work down till we get to our issues. What are the most important issues? And we'll just start working through each one. If we only get one issue solved, we stop the meeting and people go on with their day and we hit it again next week. And this is how we keep on moving our business forward, by a systematic approach.
Nice.
Yeah.
So your team has an incredible close rate, and you've put all those secrets into a 108-page manual at this point?
Something like that, yeah.
What inspired you to do it? Tell us some less-known secrets that are in that manual as well.
You want to know all the nitty-gritty secrets?
Anything you can give us, the gold nuggets.
I don't know that there's actually like secrets. I think a lot of people will try to sell you on, there's some big secret that we're gonna all unlock.
We know there isn't.
Yeah, right. I think it's about our team understanding the product and our service and how it works, and then we want the follow through for our operations team. We want the same job sold the same way, so our operations team can install it the same way. It's just about those systems and processes like we were talking about earlier.
Did you write out 108 pages? Or, a lot of businesses just take what's already there and revise it to them.
Yeah.
Which point in the business growth did that manual come about? Is it just from personal experience? Both?
Yeah, I started this close to a year and a half ago, and we just recently got this completed.
Gotcha.
So it's not like something we had from the very beginning. And we started from the ground up and just started writing things down. As problems came up, we started writing things down. Then we just started writing in all our systems and processes.
This industry, Pacific Northwest especially, weather dependent, right? How do you manage the demand as weather changes and the seasonality of the business is here?
When you have the growth part of the season, April, May, June, July, August, those months are where you're gonna be making all kinds of money. You need to make sure you're putting in reserves, putting money aside in reserves, not just going out there because you feel like you have a lot of money, going and buying more and more equipment just because you feel like you have that money. You're gonna need that money come the fall. The other lesson that I learned more recent in the last couple of years is when we have marketing, you kind of want to find a way that's just as easy as possible. That's my nature. Figure out how to systemize it, right? And so you plug and play. But when it comes to marketing, we've really kind of figured out how there's a seasonality of everything. January, December, these months, we really need to back off on the marketing. More recent yet than that, we've been starting to track the weather patterns and align them with our lead flow. And we're trying to basically make a graph that kind of, hopefully, we're going to see if it starts mirroring this. And we want to really kind of hone in and really have it very, very clearly systemized to when we should dump gas on these Google ads or whatever that is. Yeah.
So you and your team are extremely analytical about everything, average job size, average time to close, and so much more. So how are you able to achieve that through what means?
I think, again, it comes back to that CRM, because you got to have a spot where you're putting in that data. Once that data is in that spot, then you can extrapolate that and pull it into a report.
But why is it important to extrapolate and to interpret, quote unquote, that data? For what? For what end goal? To improve your time or to make more money? Both?
I think it's giving you basically a metric to know how I'm doing as maybe head of the sales. How are we doing? It's also giving metrics for marketing to know how many leads we need to generate X amount of appointments for our sales team, to generate X amount of sales to hit a sales goal. It all starts with knowing those numbers to be able to hit your targets.
Okay. Now that you, in a way, have made it, do you feel happier? Do you think success, however you define it, brings happiness?
I guess it depends what you call made it. I feel like everything has been a journey, and I feel like I've enjoyed the journey the whole way. And I've encouraged that to anybody that's watching this, is you need to be able to find happiness each step of the way, because it's not a dollar amount that's actually going to make you happy. For us, it's like I enjoy working with our team. I enjoy creating happy experiences for our customers, and it's a culmination of all of that that actually brings happiness.
Right. It's like they say, it's not about the destination, right? It's about the journey in between.
Yeah.
Found Peter's story inspiring? Then you're going to love episode 131. Watch as Trevor reveals exactly how he started his 6-figure landscaping side hustle with just $300. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.